Hello folks, my name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So this is another video about cultural appropriation. So I found this video on Reddit the other day that was entitled, San Francisco State University Employee Assaults White Student for Cultural Appropriation, right? And if you haven't seen this yet, it's pretty messed up. I'll put the link in the bottom thing so you can go see it. Now, assault is not really the right word. What's really going on is it's basically white racism is what's happening. So when you watch this video, this kid, there's a white kid who's got dreadlocks, and this black lady, you know, I think she's an employee of the school, something like that. She looks like some kind of like safety monitor or like hall monitor or something like that. Walks up to him and it tells him that wants him to like cut them off. Like apparently she was calling, like asking a friend for a pair of scissors so that he would like cut off his dreadlocks right there in front of her, because according to her, dreadlocks are cultural appropriation, because apparently only black people are allowed to wear dreadlocks. Sorry, my voice is a little fucked up. It's a little early in the morning here, so if you hear me like, you know, and stuff like that, that just means I'm going through puberty. Anyway, so what's happening is that the guy is, you know, trying to tell her off, and then he starts to walk away, and the woman grabs his hand and pulls him back, and then starts to write him up for assaulting her, if you watch the video. So what's happening, like you could see it, like she's like, you know, where are you going? Come back. And then she pulls him back, and then he goes, hey, then she says, hey, don't ever put your hands on me. I'm writing you up. Right? And so it's like, what the fuck, dude? So basically she's instigating this, like, you know, altercation, when the white kid is just trying to go away. Like he's just trying to leave. He basically told her, like, you know, told her off, and then he's like, all right, I'm leaving. And then she grabs him, pulls him back, and then tries to like write him up for like inappropriate body contact or some bullshit like that. I don't know. I don't even know if that's like a rule, but apparently like when you're in college, you're not even allowed to touch somebody else anymore. I don't know. And then what happens is that she sees a guy filming it, right? And her expression changes. So this whole time that this little altercation is happening, she's smiling, she's laughing. She's basically, you know, enjoying the power she has over this white kid. And then when she finds out that somebody's filming it, her smile turns to a frown and she starts freaking out. And then it ends with her actually grabbing the camera like that, right? Trying to like steal the dude's phone or whatever. So, now I've made a couple of videos about this, like, you know, social justice warriors and racism in the past. And a lot of the responses I get back from people when they do bother to engage me, because most of them don't. Most of the social justice people will just like, they tend to not debate. They don't give a shit about, you know, debate or the free exchange of ideas. All they really care about is enforcing their will on people. But when I do manage to get people to debate me, what comes back is that when I do manage to get people to debate me, what comes back is that it's more important to protect people than it is to allow freedom of speech, which is bullshit. And the reasoning goes like, well, you know, dangerous speech can lead to actual injury, and that's true. Okay, and I've said the same thing in my own videos here. You know, the result of unchecked racism is death, right? But you don't solve that by squashing freedom of speech. You solve that by countering dangerous speech, right? So that you solve that, like, so when the KKK comes and marches in your fucking town, you go protest them, okay? You don't shut down their march, right? You don't like completely, like, you know, outlaw them and stop them from marching. You go protest them so that there's a counter message. And that's how it works. That's how it should work. And that's how good ideas and like defeat bad ideas. That's just how it works. There has to be a debate, right? There can't just be like one side imposing its will on the other, because all that really does is drive the other side underground, and people will still think those bad ideas, because you can't force people to think the way you think, no matter how noble your, no matter how noble or you are, right? You can't force them. It's just wrong. They're not going to do it. People have to come to these realizations on their own, People need to realize that things like racism is bad, like on their own. It won't happen with you just forcing them to do it. And the only way that you can make them come to these realizations is to engage them. But anyway, so anyway, when people, when I do manage to debate these people, though, getting back to that, they say things like, well, it doesn't matter, right? Dangerous speech can like lead to death, stuff like that. And then also racism against white people isn't, really racism, because their power is like white people have the power, which whatever the fuck that means. I think this video is a good example of that. Basically the employee who happens to be a black woman, she's the one with the power in this altercation, right? So if you're going to say that racism is only racism when it's, power plus privilege, she's the one with the power. She's the one with the privilege, right? She's basically picking on this guy because he's white and he has a hairstyle that she doesn't like, I mean, so when did it become a thing that someone, like a minority, gets to dictate how somebody else gets to dress? When did that become a thing? Right. I mean, if you look back over the last 40 years, I mean, because I would argue that dreadlocks are not a traditional hairstyle, right? They're a counterculture hairstyle. Okay. If you want to say that they're a traditional hairstyle, maybe they're like a traditional Aborigine hairstyle way back in the, But then again, there were no such things as fucking hairstyles 50,000 years ago, okay? I mean, it's bullshit. So, where do you get off saying that, like, dreadlocks are a black culture? Why? Is it like a Rastafarian thing? So does that mean that only, but Rastafarianism is a religion. It's not, a race, right? So if I believe in it, does that mean I get to wear dreadlocks, right? If I listen to Bob Marley and I believe in the religion of Rastafarianism and I think that, marijuana is a sacrament and shit like that, do I get to grow dreadlocks, or do I just not get to do that because, do I never get to do that no matter what I believe because I'm not black? It's the very definition of racism to say that one person in a certain class gets to dictate what another person in a certain class gets to do and say and think and dress. It's racism at its very core. So it's just, shit. And the sad thing about this is that this woman's, ideals, I think, are not nefarious. Right. She really does, if she's a true believer, right, then she really does see it as some kind of injustice that, why is this white kid wearing, trying to pretend that he's black or whatever. That's the way she's seeing it. But from her actions in this video, it doesn't look that way. The actions of this person in this video look to me like the same kind of cruel instigations that you get from other, from white races, from KKK people, from skinheads. So yeah, if you haven't seen the video, just check it out. I really hope that this hall monitor or whatever she is, I hope she loses her job. And I hope that this video embarrasses a lot of the people, the social justice people that believe this kind of bullshit. Because it's really, really sad that this is like the state of race relations in the country. And here's the thing, right? I don't like having to side with conservatives on this issue, right? Because they're not right either. You know what I mean? Like but this sort of crazy social justice bullshit has just gone too far. It's too far, and it's like basically it's turning the entire notion of racism around. And from where I'm standing, that doesn't make it any better. So it's just as bad, as the same kind of racism that comes from far-right circles. So, and I think this video is a pretty good proof of that. Anyway, adios, folks.